The other two tasks was to add transactions and also to add disputes, and this has already been done, and you can find all the code in here. This for the database, and then under the controllers you can see we have the disputes, and then we have transactions, and then when we go to middlewares, we have validation for dispute and validation for transaction. And if we go under the routes, you can see we have routes for the dispute and routes for the transaction. And then this main index.js. Initially it was named swagger.js, swagger2.js, so I have renamed for conventional purposes to index.js. You can see we still have our swagger there. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick test. So Control J to bring up the terminal, and I'll just use npm start. Okay, so once the database and the everything is running, so just come here, I'll go to the localhost. So what I'm using is 8080. So you can see we have the other endpoints that have been added. We have the users, which were already there, cards were already there. So I've added transactions and disputes. So if we do a quick, let's say go to users just to see, you can see this is the list of the user that we have. So I just need this ID. I'm going to test the two that I've added. So first is transactions, and right now there's nothing. So if I try to check, you can see it's blank, there's nothing in there. So to try on validation, so I'm going to enter a wrong ID to see if it will work, just to test if the validation is working. So I've entered wrong ID, you can see error not found. So our error handling is working fine for the transaction. So if we do the same, let's try the same for disputes. We just enter the wrong dispute ID. You can see the same. So our error handling is working. You can see the code we have found, error not found. Okay, and you can see here error 44 is not found. So let me go and create. I'm going to create a transaction. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, like that. So I want to create a transaction with these details. So I'll click on execute, and when I come here, you can see messages. The code is 201. We see here it's created. So we have created a transaction. This is our transaction ID here. So we'll need this transaction ID. So now if I check transaction by ID, I can come in here and I can pull that transaction ID and I can try to check. You can see it's here. So you can see when we go to edit, we're just going to update this status from in progress to successful. So to do that, we'll go here under put and we're going to update that. So we are updating these to successful. The rest, letting them be the way they were. So when I execute, you can see updated successfully. So if we check this ID and we go to get by ID here, so we're checking that transaction. You can see initially the message here is in progress. That should be updated. You can see successful. Okay, next we'll go to the disputes before we can come back to delete. So now we are going to the disputes. Right now we don't have anything, so if we try to retrieve data, there's no data. You can see it's blank. Okay, so here on our database, you can see our database is named credit card service. It has the 4 collections. So now we want to work on here. You can see there's no data at the moment under disputes. So we are going to work here to create one. So we'll do that. So this is the dispute that has been opened. We have the transaction ID, and then the status is received, and then the description is double payment. So let's create it. You can see dispute recorded successfully. Now we go back to the database. Let's refresh this. Okay, after refresh, you can see the information we just entered is here. We can also see we have put the timestamp here, which is auto-generated from our code. So you can see this is our code for creating the dispute, and you can see we have here created that, and then we are using the inbuilt time function, which help us to have the accurate time that it was created, and also we have a time that it was updated as well. So if I want to check a dispute, I can check the progress maybe of a dispute. I can just come here and I can enter that dispute ID, and I can click on execute. You can see we see it has been received. Now let's say, what if I enter here a wrong ID? Okay, you can see invalid ID. That's the error, and this is possible because we have error handling in here. You can see from error handling we have invalid ID when we want to get by ID. Now I want to edit or to update the given dispute. So maybe here it was received. Now I want it to be solved. Okay, so we are going to update that. Okay, so this is what we want to update it to. As you can see here under our dispute, you can see this what we have: status received. We want to update that, and then description also want to update that. So we have our data here. We can just execute, and updated successfully. So we can go to our database and we are going to refresh this. So when you refresh, you can see this has changed to amount reversed, and here it's solved. So even if we go and check, we pull by ID here, the dispute by ID, that should also be updated. So we just enter the ID for the dispute. You can see amount reversed and solved. So we can also delete. For example, I want to delete, so I delete by the ID, and you can see we are getting the right code here. 204 no content, meaning it has been deleted. So even if we go back here to get by ID, we shouldn't get it back. So you can see error not found, 44 error not found. So we also want to delete here. I want to delete this transaction. So right now if we check, we can see it is there. These are the details. So we want to delete it. So we'll just come here like that, and yeah, 204 no content, meaning it's deleted. So even if we come back here and we try, you can see it's deleted, not found. So I also want to just do a quick check on validation. So We want to see if our validation is working. So I'm just going to submit this the way it is. And we can see here a couple of errors. You can see validation failed, and we're being told why it failed. Invalid. First, we didn't put the object ID, and then you can see amount must be a number, you can see, and also the charges must be a number. So our validation is working fine.